what are our goals when we think we want to have a romantic time with our partner? Is it, to have alcohol be front and center, which then ultimately, after a couple of glasses, distracts us from our present moment, from the connection, from, whatever we're in the moment of? Or do we want to, yeah, just be fully present to have that full connection?
Why does the world act like alcohol is the answer, even while it is creating problems of its own?
On the Alcohol Myth podcast, we pull back the curtain so you can see what's really going on with alcohol and what life could be like without it.
We are coaches trained in This Naked Mind and effective liminal psychology who fell for the alcohol myth for decades. Now we help people take back control of their lives by changing their relationship with alcohol from the inside out.
You don't need to wait for a rock bottom. You don't need more willpower. You just need a new way to understand what you are feeling and why you are reaching for that next drink.
So let's dig in.
Welcome to the Alcohol Myth podcast. Today, we are talking about the upcoming holiday, Valentine's Day, and what it means to do Valentine's. And I think just we could expand it to be more broadly like romantic engagements if you're on an alcohol-free journey. So I'm Jonathan, and I'm joined by Ellen today. Hey, Ellen.
Hey.
And
Great
as
to
you
be
can tell,
here.
I'm a little bit froggy, but we're gonna get through it. So, Ellen, you brought this topic up, and I thought it was so good. What inspired you to have us talking about Valentine's Day coming up?
Oh, because I feel like this was kind of a hang up for me as I went along my alcohol-free journey, which is like I had the very glamorized image of the perfect date night, right? Something romantic, something special with my partner of 20 years, 20, more than that now, 26 years. And we had traditionally on an anniversary, on a Valentine's Day, on a special occasion, we would go to a nicer restaurant than normal and order wine and good food. And so then when it came time to um, celebrate some of these things, Valentine's Day included, I kind of freaked out like, "Oh, I can never do the thing again, life is ruined, our romantic relationship is over." I had all of these fears, really. I mean, I'm laughing about it now, but I really was concerned about what it would mean. I worried if I could do it. I worried if my husband would be having feelings about me not drinking on our special days anymore. I worried about how we could celebrate without wine. And I just think it's really worth talking about because I don't think I'm alone in meshing alcohol with special occasions, romantic occasions, things with our special people.
Yeah, it makes me think of especially when alcohol is present at the beginning of a relationship, and it can be kind of attached to that feeling of connection and togetherness, and like it's a thing that we do together. We we like to go explore wineries, and we like to go hang out with friends at the brew pub and blah blah blah, right? So it can
Mhm.
feel like if alcohol's been present in the relationship for all this time, then if you're saying no to alcohol, it can be perceived by the other person, or the fear is that it can be perceived by the other person as saying no to them or to those
Mhm.
memories. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think that a key part for me was a rejection of all those memories because I do not want to do that. I mean, I did have really lovely times with my husband at a winery. We got married in Napa Valley at a winery. Like, I don't want to discount that as being some big mistake we made, some big part of this tragedy that turned into my relationship with alcohol. No, it was wonderful. I have wonderful memories of that. And that was at a time that my relationship with alcohol was entirely different than it was 20 years later when I decided to let it go. And I don't need to demonize those times or that part of our relationship. And I think, even just having that conversation with Chris, my husband, and like, I mean, we had one of my big concerns was from that winery that was very special to us in Napa Valley. We had a couple cases of that wine, and I was like, oh my God. My first thought was, well, I can't go alcohol free until all that wine is done, right? But there we are, I was like, well, that's not going to work because I'm ready now. So, it just, I don't know, it just points to like the connections that we make. And I think you've said this before on other podcasts, but it's like we give alcohol so much credit for the good times, for the romantic moments, for the beautiful occasions. I mean, wineries in Napa Valley would be beautiful without the wine. I mean, the wine is there, of course, that's what the draw is, but the vineyards are beautiful. The weather there is beautiful. The nature there is beautiful. Like we don't have to demonize the whole thing because that and we don't have to give it all up either.
Hmm. I'd forgotten that we I Beth and I also got married at a vineyard. We have that in common.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, I love that.
and oh, when you were mentioning like I can't go alcohol free until like all that wine from, isn't it funny the like weird little rules and stuff that we have for each other? Like I totally relate to that of like, well, it's in the house, like it's gotta be dealt with. It can't be wasted. But it's very silly. I
100%.
I'm thinking about the um have you found that the things that you and Chris like to go and do, like for a romantic night out, how has that evolved since you've been alcohol free? I don't know. Does Chris still drink some?
He does. He does. He doesn't drink nearly as much as we used to drink together, which he actually prefers. Because he's always been someone who could have one or two and be done. And he would often drink a lot more because I would be drinking a lot more. And, there were different phases in his life too where he wanted to drink more. But where we are right now, yeah, quite often. I mean, we still like to go out to eat. I mean, I love food. I love restaurants. I love, the trying different. I love all different kinds of cuisines. I like being taken care of, being pampered. I like those things. So I still like going to a restaurant, and he will often get a beer or a glass of wine. And I love now that there are so many alcohol-free options on menus. I mean, and if there aren't, quite often they will make you something if you ask for the flavors that you like. And so it has become a treat for me to be able to have the experience of going out to a beautiful restaurant and actually focusing on the food. Because when I was drinking a lot, I was so focused on what would I be drinking, and I would be having my pre-drinks, and then I would get there, and already my taste buds were numbed. I mean, I didn't really know that at the time, but I was not focusing even on the food. I was focusing on my next drink. So in my mind, I was going to this restaurant to have this fabulous meal, and all I really cared about was the next glass of wine. And by the way, our liquor bill was usually double the price of the food. So you go to these, pretty nice restaurants where the food is supposed to be the main event, and we end up, having a crazy bill on splitting a, $60 bottle of wine or some silly thing.
100%. We found out because Beth quit drinking the same time I did. Um, and we found out that some of the places that we used to frequently go, we actually did like the food. We just liked going there for the drinks. And so it was kind of like, I mean, it's not all of it's rainbows and ponies and stuff like that. Like some of the places that we really liked, we were like, oh, bummer. Now that I'm actually like tasting the food and like the food is the main event, there's nothing to write home about. Like I'd rather have something else. Isn't that funny?
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I relate to that too. And also I don't always love to go out to eat at dinner time. Sometimes I like love to go out for brunch or lunch. Whereas I didn't really want to waste my out calories on that if I wasn't going to be drinking,
Mhm.
so, or my out money, whatever thing that I had categorized it.
for
So
sure.
I'm curious, what do you guys like to do now if you don't like if you aren't focused around the drinking? Like what's a romantic night look like or day or whatever look like for you guys these days?
We still very much like to go out and to go to restaurants where the food's actually good. So it's really nice
Mhm.
to be able to tell the difference now. We've been really enjoying going to see more live music than we did before. Um, and another thing that we do a lot of is we play games together. Like Beth and I are both big fantasy nerds, and so we will frequently um, spend time together telling stories and tabletop role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. So we like to create things together and tell stories together and spend time together that way. So I think that like music and gaming together definitely a couple of our favorite pastimes um, that we liked before, but have only grown more fond of as we've been not drinking. I can remember several times where we'd be out somewhere, like going to see a cool band, or we'd be, just like even, playing games together. And I would also be drinking and drinking and drinking. And then at a certain point, like I'm paying less attention to my lovely, wonderful partner and more attention to getting schmammered and, having too much to drink. So it's nice that that doesn't happen anymore. And it's nice that I can be like connected fully.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about what are our goals when we think we want to have a romantic time with our partner, is it to have alcohol be front and center, which then ultimately, after a couple of glasses, distracts us from our present moment, from the connection, from, whatever we're in the moment of? Or do we want to, yeah, just be fully present to have that full connection? And, I would have sworn that it made me closer. I've believed, I mean, I've really believed that that wine connected us, that it was like the glue that kind of made everything kind of smooth and lovely between us. And it was a fear when I took it away that there would be a lot of friction. And I think one of the things that did happen that I think is good to be aware of is there are growing pains. I mean, it is a readjustment. It is and it's both of our partners were quite happy to let the drinking behaviors subside, but not everybody's partner is like that, right? Some people it's your primary drinking buddy, and so having the kind of growing pains of what may happen as you let go of alcohol in these it just in I feel like that could be a whole nother episode. I think I'm going to get sidetracked if I go too far along that. I mean, I think that's a relationship episode. I think what we're talking about more now here is like a way to spend time together that is special, that does not include alcohol. And I just wanted to bring it back to real quick the this idea of Valentine's Day and a celebration, because if your image of there's two ways you can approach it in my view. If your image is to go out to a nice restaurant and have that sort of a traditional thing on Valentine's Day, but without alcohol, you can still absolutely do that. And you can do it with alcohol free drinks, and you can do it at a lovely restaurant. You can scan the menu ahead of time, figure out what you're going to eat, make a plan. You can treat it like a FFT, a freaking first time, like, let me experience this, let me see what it's really like. That's definitely one way to do it. But you could also throw that script out entirely and be like, you know what, this Valentine's Day, I want to do something. They say there's studies that show that when partners do novel things together for the first time or try new things together, it brings them together. So what if you like, I don't know, did something you've never done together before? What if you took a class? What if you took a dance class? What if you took a poetry class? What if you took a pottery class? Like trying something new. Something my husband and I do a lot is we like to hike. So it's like, okay, let's, pick a hike that we've never been to before and then plan to get some lunch afterwards, or, create some kind of an event that takes you out of your regular routine where you get to experience something new together. And that actually has a lot of, connectedness involved in it for us now.
Yeah, we've been trying to do that more often where like we'll pick something that we have never done once a
Mhm.
month and go do that thing. And um in the past, I think one of the things that kept us stuck was that like, oh, it's date night. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go to a restaurant and drink. Oh, it's date night. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go to a restaurant and drink, right? Like it's like the same pattern over and
Mhm.
over and over again. But it's kind of been cool to like that's not what we're doing anymore. So what is possible. And before, I would have like only filtered into things that could have involved drinking in some level, right? Like, I'm not gonna like go out of my way to do this big day trip to somewhere if it doesn't also involve being able to have a drink. What's even the point? So it's actually kind of like you're you're not doing one thing and you're opening up a world of possibility at the same time, which is really exciting. So since we've been doing that, we've like, kind of explored and seen and done things that, we've lived here for years and years and never got around to. Like, there's a great like a conservator center where they rescue predators. And so it's got like lions and tigers and bears, oh my, right? Like, and it's different than a zoo because they're um I don't know, I don't know the details of it, but it's like just like mostly focused on predators, which is really cool. And like you get to be a lot closer to them than you would be at a zoo because it's a conservator center. I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
and
I love that.
we've been doing lots of hiking, lots of outdoorsy type stuff, and it's been great.
Yeah, we so some of the things that we've started doing is there's a like a writer series in our town. So that these authors would come into town, and these are the kinds of things too. Like you said, I would if it was 7 o'clock at night, an event, and it didn't involve drinking, I wasn't going to go. Or in this case, at the writer series, you can drink there. You can drink before, you can drink after, you can go for dinner before. But then if you're going to sit for something for an hour and a half, I would just get tired. Like that didn't sound nice to me. I'm like, I don't want to go somewhere where I drink beforehand and then have to sit and watch or do and not continue drinking. So, like you said, it just kind of opens up. Okay, what are the different things that are going on in my town in the evenings that are, not at restaurants, or maybe they are at restaurants, but they're like we go to a trivia night. There's a trivia night at a local restaurant, and a lot of the people there are drinking, but I don't need to drink there, and I can still have a really good time. So there's stages along the process of this alcohol-free journey, right? Like when we're in the early stages, we might want to do things that where we're not going to be so tempted or feel somehow othered if we're in an environment with lots of drinking and we're not drinking. But when you are alcohol-free for a period of time and you're loving it and you don't care, then I mean, talk about the world opening up. You can go anywhere and do anything. You're not limited to places that drink. You're not limited to places that don't drink. Talk about freedom. I mean, it's really quite something.
Yeah. This conversation's making me think of how like we want to go and do something fun for Valentine's Day, right? Like we want to go have this like special experience. The thing about alcohol is that it takes any experience and puts it on one expected certain level, right? Like you're drunk at a nice restaurant, you're drunk on your couch, you're drunk walking down the street, you're drunk, right? It's all one predictable certain level. And so it's crazy that we like, go through all this effort to like get out of our comfort zone and go to a fancy restaurant and to, spend this special time with somebody and oh, I've arranged flowers and I've got a, a four-piece quartet or what I don't know. Like I've just like done this like big
Mhm.
thing and then I'm going to take that cool moment and just put it at baseline. I'm I'm consuming the same substance, right? Like whether I'm spending $25 on a super fancy cocktail or $5 on a Mick Ultra, right? Like you're consuming at the core the same substance either way. And the end of things, like you're just having the same experience that you would be either way, right? Like, I mean, you're you're just getting intoxicated.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, that was actually one of my big ahas that it was like I kept I was convinced that what I was doing was elevating experiences to some like more special level. And when I was able to see more clearly that what I was doing is equalizing all the experience to the same, ultimately pretty boring because it's always the same predictable experience. Like to your point, I could be getting drunk at a five-star restaurant, or I could be getting drunk at the local burger joint, or I could be getting drunk at home. But basically, what I'm doing is having enough drinks to get my buzz on so that I can feel that way. And then that's what I feel, right? Versus feeling the exhilaration of something new, or feeling the fear of, I don't know, standing over a cliff, or, I mean, like the actual different feelings that might create some different feelings in the body and emotions that, yeah, that could possibly connect you to somebody else if you're doing it with them.
I'm a big romantic gestures kind of guy, right? Like I like to go there, and there would be like so much forethought and planning and like for our dates, and then inevitably, because it was some special occasion, I'd end up drinking too much. And then like where does that leave you on your fancy romantic experience? But with like me not showing up how I want to show up, and her annoyed because she's never drunk as much as I historically have. And it's not a winning recipe for romantic um
Yeah, connection,
conviviality.
feelings. Yeah, exactly. And I had this realization too, like, I actually heard this on a podcast. It was on, I forget which one, but I think it was We Can Do Hard Things. But it was this idea of we put so much expectation around these days too, right? There's so much expectation that on Valentine's Day, my partner is going to plan something really special, or I need to plan something really special, or we're going to do something really special. And quite often, I mean, the default thing is we are going to go sit across from each other at a restaurant and what have the most special, exciting conversation we've had in the past year. Like that's a lot of expectation, right? I mean, there's probably things going on in your life. There's probably, and so it just like the whole idea of the best date for a special occasion being sitting across from each other at a table and imbibing on things that make us loose-lipped and maybe say things that we don't want to say and get a little more heated. It's not a recipe um for happiness. And it's quite often a recipe for disappointment, right? Because it's like, oh, this is going to be the special night where my partner is going to tell me how much they love me and how special I am, and then it doesn't go exactly the way it's planned, and then you're like resentful, and then you're like, what is this? I thought I was going to be appreciated tonight, and then there's no flowers. I mean, there's so much like expectation that goes into a day like Valentine's Day, that what if we just threw away that playbook and just, you know, came up with something from scratch that was like, what I'd actually really like to do is let's make cupcakes this morning and let's sit around and watch old movies, or, something where we're not just like doing the old script, because I think that old playbook haunts us sometimes.
For sure. I'm wondering, Ellen, how can we make this super practical for somebody wanting to, like, I'm coming into Valentine's Day. Maybe I've had success with dry January. I want to keep my streak going. How am I supposed to do this big romantic holiday if historically that's involved drinking and breaking with tradition? I'm going to go first
Yes,
because I'm
please.
always, I'm always, I'm always saying yes, Ellen. But I've got an idea.
Mm,
So, I think that one of the things that you could do to make your alcohol-free Valentine's a total success would be to communicate your intention and expectation in advance to your partner, and let them know why. Like maybe it's not like why you've taken a break from drinking alcohol, but let them know like, hey, I want to let you know that I'm not going to be drinking when we do whatever we're doing on Valentine's Day because I want to be fully present and connected with you on that day. So it's a special time. I'm not going to be drinking. You do you, but just for me, that's what I'm going to be doing. And just like that way, it kind of depressurizes the whole situation. And Ellen, you talk so much about like the power of expectation. You then have kind of the power of expectation on your side, right? Where how can I use that instead of setting myself up for disappointment? I'm setting myself up to live in accordance with my goals.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, just to add to that, like maybe even enlisting your partner and like, what if we do, like I'm not going to be drinking. We can totally still go out and do it up. But what if we tried something totally new? And what if we brainstormed different ideas? And hey, I heard this research that, couples that thrive, they try new things together. And I really care about you and I really love you. And I want to use this day to build something new and fresh and fun. And, so that their partner doesn't end up feeling like, oh, you're not going to participate in our romantic, because there could be feelings when we change it up, right? So being very clear about, I love what you said about why we're doing it and ahead of time too. Like, let's not leave all the pressure on February 14th morning or, or before your partner starts planning something special. If you have a romantic gesture partner like Jonathan, I mean, or if you are the romantic partner gesture person, like, saying it up front that this is what I'm thinking about doing this year. It's still going to be a surprise, but I just want you to know that it's going to be a little different flavor than what we've done in the past. Like, this could actually be a really connecting opportunity to try something new together.
My my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, when they first started dating each other, they started doing alphabet dating. So like they take turns, one per month, and they come up with a whole date based around a letter that they draw. And they go back and forth. She'll plan one, he'll plan the next month, and it might be in any order. But the number of weird and cool things that they've done in their area based off of the alphabet dating has been so cool. Like, they'll tie it to like say they get B and they get, like they go blowing glass for the date activity and they go eat burgers on a bridge, like it's just a really fun kind of weird thing to do, and it keeps it fresh, and I think that's very admirable.
I love that. I love that. And there's probably all kinds of things to search up on the internet, like fun ways to create cool, fun, original dates that people can find. But that's brilliant because you get your creative juices flowing too, which is fun to do that. I mean, there's nothing a little less creative than doing the same old thing every time, right? No, I think I want to wish everybody a beautiful connective day with your partner. And we didn't really touch on people that might be dating or starting relationships from scratch. Maybe we can do another episode on that. But I think that this idea of how to connect without alcohol is kind of a through line of life with this, right? And this one little snippet of, okay, how do I make something special and celebrate? These are just some ideas, and I'm sure there are, as you start to think about it, get your own creative juices flowing and see what you come up with.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you a joyous and lovely and connected Valentine's Day, whatever that looks like for you. And until next time, we've been the Alcohol Myth Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great to have you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Myth Podcast.
If this episode sparked something for you, we'd love to hear about it.
Send your questions, stories, or ideas for future episodes to thealcoholmyth@gmail.com.
We read every message. We really do.
Take good care of yourself. We'll see you next time.